as I said at the top, my guest for this podcast, Kurt Zadinsky, he is sales at Eastbrook Homes. He and I have done a couple things together, but I wanted to bring him on to talk about something that we haven't really covered yet, Kurt, in these Eastbrook Homes podcasts, and that is the idea of renting versus buying. You know, there's a lot of people who are in a renting position right now and are watching what's going on with the market and are thinking, maybe I'll just sit this one out and let it kind of normalize. But what you and I know is this has been doing this for a second. It doesn't really feel like the roller coaster has crested yet.
No, I totally agree with that. And we're seeing a ton of it as well. I think COVID is, it obviously has changed us in many ways. And what we're hearing a ton of is people are saying, I did this from an apartment or from a rental that maybe was a little tight or didn't have a yard.
Or an office, right?
Or an office, right. Yeah, that office is actually, it's kind of funny. We're building so many houses and condos with lofts and offices. Everybody wants one now. But I think the mindset is, I'm not going through that again. Hopefully it never happens again. But if it does, this just pushed me over the edge to get my own place, my own yard, my own space. Maybe it was something, we're hearing a lot of, people thinking it changed me in the way that if I'm ever going to do it, I'm just going to do it now because I'm just sick of waiting and life's too short and let's go.
And I certainly, not to cut you off, Kurt, but I certainly think that is one of the lessons during all of this is that life is too short. And if you've been in an apartment and on the fence and thinking, I've always wanted my own place, this clearly feels like the time that we should jump.
Absolutely. Yes, we are seeing price increases and stuff like that, but that's because there's so much demand and so little supply. So some people have the thought process that, boy, am I paying too much right now? And all of our smart guys say, this isn't stopping. This is going to keep going up. You're still going to be able to build appreciation. And that's not just locally. When we're talking, our CEO talks with national builders, national economists. Obviously, the company the size of ours, there's a lot of input that goes into what we're doing next for inventory, development areas. So this isn't just like, hey, it's just West Michigan. There are several markets that are experiencing numbers even significantly higher than West Michigan, which sounds insane, but they are.
So, Kurt, one of the questions I wanted to ask you today is, as we're in the new normal, right? When you and I first did a piece, in the springtime, we were still trying to figure out what this was going to be. And it's clear that this is what it's going to be, and then we're going to keep going forward. But I wonder, and this might not be a fair question, but I'd love your insight on the way in which people are now viewing their homes. And I've talked to a couple of your compatriots that work at Eastbrook Homes about this idea that typically we would get up, we'd have breakfast, we'd have coffee, we'd kiss each other goodbye, and then we'd be gone from our house for 8 hours, and then we'd come back and we'd watch some Netflix and we'd go to bed and we'd do it again. Now that 8 or 9 hours or 10 hours a day, you're back in your home, getting to understand all the nooks and crannies that you may love, or in some cases loathe. And so your perspective on how we might look at our houses differently, and to your point, now is the time to get in a place that you are actually in love with, because it turns out we might be spending a lot more time in our houses from this point forward.
Absolutely. We've got several different factors that play into that. I've got people that are in their house now. So they aren't renting. They're in their house now, and they've decided, since they've spent so much time there, that they need to make some upgrades or some changes. Sure. But they're even having a hard time getting contractors to even respond, to even make a phone call back. So then they say, you know what? I'm going to sell that one. I'm just going to build what I want. So we got a little bit of that in the market. And then you have the people that all of a sudden they're like, hey, I'm going to stay, but I want, or I'm going to build, I want outdoor living. We're doing outdoor kitchens, patios, fire pits, I mean, I'm sure you've heard on the news, you know, if you try and call a pool supplier right now, they're
Right.
going to tell you the closest they can get there is 2023. You know,
Sure. Yep.
it is crazy with the outdoor living stuff. Fencing guys I've been hearing, accessory buildings, anything like that, because people are expanding their footprint, you know, because they're like, well, if I'm going to be around, like we were saying earlier, I'm going to enjoy my space that I have. And we're
Absolutely.
seeing a ton of it.
Well, and one of the things I want to talk about when we're comparing renting to buying is even before you and I met and we've been working together, I've always thought the prices of renting have been going so high and mirror what I've been paying in mortgages for the past 10 years. It feels like the jump isn't paying the month to month because you're already doing it. The jump is the process, Kurt. So can you talk about what this process is like? If I'm going, you know, I've been in an apartment for 5, 6, 7 years and I've never done this before, or I've been in an apartment and I have done this before, but went to an apartment because I thought it was going to be easier. But you guys have communities that mirror the amenities that you would find in an apartment in an actual house.
Yeah. Well, the community I'm in, we have I'm in the clubhouse right now. I have an office in the clubhouse. Out back to my right here, I've got a pool, and there's playgrounds, there's walking trails. It's kind of the same flavor. That's just one of the things that we believe in is, you know, having those amenities within communities. It makes the community members, you know, all the people interact, hang out. It feels great, and we think it adds value. We've done it all over West Michigan, and it works. And for our process, you know, we've got a couple different scenarios. We try to, as a company, keep inventory in the ground, what we say, you know, whether it's single family homes, condos, or townhomes. We try to keep some inventory around, number one, to show people what we do, how it looks, but also so if you are somebody who sold their house yesterday, can come by today.
Right.
Now, in this market,
which is a possibility in this market, is that you sold it an hour ago and you're like, where do I go?
Right. And we have gone through a ton of our inventory, recycling, you know, trying to get more going again. But we've also sold a lot of build jobs, and so we're working through that process. But we make it, you know, kind of the cool thing about dealing with Eastbrook that I talk with people about constantly is our process of buying, and people always assume that they need to get a construction loan.
Sure.
With us, you don't have to. We finance the entire build, the house and lot. What we need from you is we will connect you with one of our preferred lenders. We need a down payment, and that's it. We'll fund the entire construction, and then you close on it at the end, just as you would if you were buying an existing property. There's no interest accruing, so you don't have to worry about making monthly payments plus wherever you're renting or whatever's going on.
Because those are the questions, right? You know, depending on, and you and I can talk about supply chain in a second here, but depending on how long it takes to construct, because you know, I know that we've done a couple of these episodes talking about construction specifically, that when you guys are able to get all the stuff you need, it could be 4 or 5 months, but when you can't, it's 9 or 10 months. And, you know, understanding that you're not accruing interest, I think is a key component to this process, because it might be a 9-month process.
Absolutely. And, you know, that's always the X factor for people. They want to know, how do I make this work? You know, some people do a double move.
Sure.
A lot of people, because of the rental market, say, I'd rather just stay in my place, have you build it for me, and then I'll sell this one or move out of this one, head over here. Which I get, simplicity, right? But not knowing how many months it's going to take to build, you know, those are dollars every month going out, unless you do it our way.
Sure.
And it's, you know, it's just, it's not like it's thousands and thousands of dollars, but depending on how long it is, it could be.
For sure. So talk to me about mortgage rates, because that's the other thing that people are trying to figure out. You know, when you've got an inflated market where, you know, you've got market value above what the thing is actually worth, what are the mortgage rates like right now?
Awesome. You know, I think everybody I know I have, for the last couple of years has kind of held their breath thinking, oh, they're going to go up, they're going to go up, but they haven't, and let's face it, if interest rates went up even 1.5% or 2%, we're still only going to touch 5%, which is a fantastic rate. But on the flip side, you've got a generation of people of new buyers who think interest rates are just supposed to be 3%.
Right. Right.
and it's because that's all they've seen.
Yes.
But that's not the case. And when you break down a payment, there's really not that much difference. But right now, they're low. And there's a lot of great programs, more programs than there has been in years for first-time home buyers to get in. And we've got a great program, a partnership that we do with Benchmark Mortgage for veterans and first responders. That's fantastic as well. We've had great success with that. So yeah, it's like you say, if you're thinking about doing it, the time to act is now, because we're only going to see it change.
Sure. And so, Kurt, how long have you been in this industry doing what you're doing?
27 years.
Which is what I figured. So in nearly 3 decades, is this the strangest market you've seen?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You didn't have to say 3 decades, by the way.
Sorry. I was trying to set the precedent that you've been through a few ups and downs that
Yeah.
This one feels pretty strange to me, and I don't have 30 years nearly in the industry.
Right. In whatever, 04, 05, 06, it was crazy, right?
Sure.
Crazy busy. This, which is interesting too, because it seems so busy here right now, right? Everywhere you look, construction, this, that, everything going. 04, 05, 06, but West Michigan construction builders in general were doing more. There were more building permits pulled then than now, by almost double.
Wow.
Which I say that to people, and most of the time they think you've got to be crazy because there's construction going everywhere. But that's how crazy it was back then. Flip side is now, because of so little inventory, we've never seen a feeding frenzy like this.
Yes.
Right? It's just supply and demand. As soon as you put them up, they're gone. And the other part is, prior to the recession, 04, 05, 06, when it was crazy, you had a huge labor pool. Huge. Now, post-recession, a lot of people left the trades. They got stung pretty bad, went into other fields. We're starting to get that labor pool back. I think that's with colleges doing what they're doing now and having to act, we're starting to hear more and more people have decided, I'm not going to go that direction right now, but I maybe go look into getting a skill, a trade, which makes a ton of sense, because it's an instant job. Right.
Well, and we've had 10 million, 9.2 technically, open skilled trade jobs for the last decade. So there's been a need, as you said, since 04, 05.
Yes, it's everybody. Every single trade top to bottom that we have right now could use people. No ifs, ands, or buts. Doesn't matter what it is. They are begging for workers. And you'd think that especially after COVID, people would want to be out working, getting out, especially outside, stuff like that, but tough to fill at times.
It is, for sure. All right, my friend. So if somebody's on the fence, they're in a spot that they don't really like and they're renting and they want to move forward, what's the easiest way for them to get a hold of you?
Typically what I say is you can email us, call us, whatever works. I always tell people a lot, go on our website, eastbrookhomes.com. A lot of people like to do that in the beginning anyway, which I get. They want to do a little bit of their homework.
Well, and you guys have done some investing in augmented, artificial intelligence that sort of walks you through the process too.
Absolutely. We've got Bot the Builder on there. You can click on him. They'll walk you through the process. We have 2 online concierge people who are there full-time to answer your questions. You can also call one of our sales team direct as well. We'd be happy to meet with you. But if you want, I mean, we've got literally thousands of photos on there. We've got all of our websites on there, or all of our floor plans on the website. We've got interactive plans, virtual walkthroughs, all of our communities that you can kind of do tours of. So a lot of people like it. This is kind of like when you're, shopping for a car. You
Sure.
hit the GMC site and start digging around. We've made it, kind of took that approach, and then people fire emails and say, hey, I've kind of got it locked down to, community A and B. Can I meet with someone to get boots on the ground and have that expert show me around what lots are available? Does it face east, west, north, south? Do you have daylight basements, walkout basements? Can I fit a third stall on this lot? What amenities are in that community? Which is why we like to have experts for each community to, I couldn't go speak to what Bruce has going up in Rockford, and
Absolutely.
he couldn't vice versa. So it's works for us, and then we feel like we are serving the customer the best then.
Awesome. Kurt, as always, it's a pleasure to hang out and talk to you for a couple minutes. I'll let you get back to it. And if you want to reach out to Kurt and the rest of the team, eastbrookhomes.com. We'll talk to you next time on the Michigan's Best Podcast.